4 years ago, I started this YouTube channel, The Nostalgia Factor, driven by a sense of wanting to make content for all sorts of people who share the exact same passion I do of retro gaming and wanting to produce higher quality content. I dabbled with the channel on and off for the past several years. There have been points where I've uploaded a lot of videos, I've done some notable collaborations, made some good projects, but there have also been times where the channel has been dormant for months on end due to various life circumstances I've had going on. But throughout all of that, throughout all of the years of the inconsistencies, different quality of uploads, and everything else this channel's endured, we have still achieved a miraculous milestone of 200 subscribers. And while this milestone may not sound great to a lot of people watching this, whether you're a small YouTuber, a major YouTuber, or whatever, it means a lot to me. Not because of the number, but because of the number of people who are willing to join me on this YouTube channel, to see my content, to see where we go as a community. And I'm just so happy and proud to have achieved this milestone, not because of how big the numbers may or may not get on this YouTube channel, but because of the people who have decided to join in on this journey, and people who just stop by to enjoy the content. So I wanted to take the first part of this video to say genuinely thank you guys so much for helping to support this YouTube channel. It has helped me a lot in my personal life. It's given me a driving force for something to do as a hobby, and I've enjoyed this journey thus far. I'm really hoping to continue to do this journey as consistently as I can, but time will tell. For now though, thank you guys so much for supporting this channel for 200 subscribers, and I figured to celebrate this occasion, I would take a look at my very first RPG, proper RPG review here on the Nostalgia Factor, and a game that deserves far more praise than what it gets in the modern day with little to no coverage here on YouTube. And that game being Lunar Silver Star Story Complete on the PlayStation 1. An underrated game from Working Designs released back in 1996 on the PlayStation 1. Lunar is an underrated video game series, especially in terms of the RPG scene when compared to games like Final Fantasy, Chrono Trigger, or quite frankly many other notorious games. What makes the Lunar series special is what it presents both with the story, the visuals, the music, the refined battle system, and the unique features that it presents. But most importantly of all for this game, it's the characters and the underlying tones and themes that Lunar presents. So I hope you guys will join me throughout this video as I take more of a detailed analysis into dissecting what makes Lunar tick, why this game is such an underappreciated classic, and, quite frankly, why I think more people should play it. This is for you guys for the 200 subscriber special. I hope you guys genuinely enjoyed this video. Let's get started. This is Lunar Silver Star Story.
Magical thoughts, all things are real unless you dream they're not. In your dreams, love is the plot, carried on wings of hope. Each of our souls intertwine when we do. Instantly we see it, the time to grow and be it, when everything is pinned on a hold. Let rise the dreams of your heart, that innocent youth, careless and kind, free to roam the breeze in love, only when two brilliantly shine as one.
Silver Star story got its start on the Sega CD of all consoles, originally released as a more niche and obscure RPG back during the early 1990s. This game was one that was originally slated to forever remain an obscure classic on a system that was slowly becoming forgotten with the arrival of the PlayStation 1. That is, until a company known as Working Designs, a company who are known for bringing back a lot of notorious RPGs and bringing them to the PlayStation 1, remade the game, added so much more content to it, and brought it to the mainstream. Working Designs isn't just known for reviving a lot of classic RPGs from that time, like the Lunar series or Ark the Lad, Alundra, and a number of other titles you guys might recognize. Lunar, Silver Star Story Complete, and a few others on the PlayStation 1 also came in a beautifully designed box set. Now, I'm not going to detail every single thing that this game has to offer in terms of the extra collectibles inside, but I have done an unboxing video here on the channel a few years ago now, I believe. Last year or the year before, anyway. You guys can check out that video if you want to. If I remember, I'll link it in the description if you want a more detailed analysis on what comes in this box set. But the whole reason that I delve into this in the first place is to convey the fact that Lunar Silver Star Story Complete's quality is shown right away, with its collector's edition containing so many impressive materials, from a leather-bound art book to a multi-CD game, including a soundtrack CD with some beautiful art, and a full-cloth map. While this doesn't sound as impressive compared to a lot of big collector's editions that are coming out now for pretty much every new release, this was special because of the time that it released, and the fact that this obscure RPG got a full-blown remake of sorts, put onto a popular console that's still remembered today, and has become pretty rare as a result. This box set is not cheap by any means, and quite frankly, neither is the sequel, Lunar 2 Eternal Blue. All of that being said, guys, I could talk about the backstory and the quality that it presents right away from the initial collector's edition all day long. But quite frankly, what makes any video game tick is when you actually get into what makes the game fun, interesting, or quite frankly, just enjoyable to play. So let's get into that. The core of any RPG boils down to the story. The story is the first main thing that you take a look at when looking at any video game, especially in terms of a role-playing game that provides in-depth storylines, characters, and a complex world to explore. Lunar is one of these games, especially considering when it came out, that is a by-the-numbers RPG. The story starts off with your protagonist, known as Alex, in a small village with his adopted sister Luna, and their best friend Ramses, traveling off to a far-off cave in order to find a rare legendary artifact that they can sell to get rich quick, and maybe become legendary heroes in their own right to become notorious in their town. Upon meeting this dragon and obtaining this fabled dragon egg treasure, they were exposed to the greater legacy of their world, involving a legendary dragon master known as Dine, who traveled the world and acquired the power of 4 elemental dragons, and, alongside his former friend, a dark wizard known as Galleon, defeated the forces of evil, and interacted with the goddess of this world known as Althena. Alex discovers this legacy especially, considering how he is a huge fan of Dine, and he aspires to be the next major dragon master. Upon learning about a new threat from the dragon that they encounter, and learning that Alex has the potential to become a master swordsman in his own right, to become the Dragon Master, and upon learning that dark threats are threatening the world, after the friends initially visit this cave, they are thrust into a journey beyond their imagination. But this journey, even at the start, well, let's just say they encounter some perilous situations.
Check this out! La 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 la.
The further you you go into the story of Lunar Silver Star's story, you're going to notice a lot of common RPG themes and tropes. You have a legendary hero who doesn't really say much, borderline silent protagonist with Alex, traveling the world, acquiring the powers of 4 legendary dragons, or a la crystals from the original 5 Final Fantasy games, and ultimately going to stop a major dark threat that is threatening to destroy the world with a party of characters. This story is a by-the-numbers RPG in many ways. You can see a lot of the plot twists coming, whether it be secret villains, how different storylines are going to go, and ultimately how some characters are going to end up together, like the relationship between Alex and his adopted sister Luna. As you discover more about Luna's mysterious backstory and her connection to the goddess Althena within this world, you can kind of see where this is going, because this game is also a love story, wrapped up with many of your main party members, and definitely between Alex and Luna themselves. That being said, though, despite how by the numbers that the story is, being an extremely traditional RPG story, there are many amazing and funny moments present throughout the game. And without really spoiling a lot of the major twists, again, like secret villains, Luna's connection to the goddess, and the ending portions where you discover the ultimate truth between Galleon and the former Dragon Master known as Dyne, there are a lot of funny moments to really dissect from this game, because in addition to having a lot of fun moments, there are so many incredibly detailed and funny occurrences to even point out to you guys here in this video. Some of the highlights for me include the balloon scene, or some extremely lewd scenes that you can access if you find certain secret areas on the world map, and the discovery of certain cutscenes depending on certain areas that you find on the world map, assuming you have enough silver, which is the currency in this game, to buy bars of soap to use for certain party members who just want to take a quick dip, so to speak, in between your journey. Yeah, these types of scenes exist. Well, oh, sorry. Anyway, yeah, so there are scenes like that within the game as well, and that's what helps keep the Lunar experience diversified with all these funny and wacky moments that show up throughout the game. But the story here isn't just a by-the-numbers RPG with some funny moments, incredibly witty dialogue and writing. This game also has some extremely heartfelt moments that, within the context of the character relationships in the story, really do mean a lot. The relationship between Alex and Luna, for instance, is one of the most defining features of the game, because despite the fact that Alex is on this journey to become the next Dragon Master, and encountering so many threats throughout the world, and ultimately trying to rescue Luna after she's kidnapped at one point in the game to be used by the main villain, which is Galleon, there are so many moments and cutscenes that are present within this version of the game specifically, considering the working designs put into it to make some animated anime-style cutscenes. They really do show how close these two are, despite the fact that Luna herself doesn't really know completely who she is. And one of the most notorious cutscenes throughout the game and defining moments of this relationship is the iconic singing moments with Luna and Alex. Beautifully recreated and some very nice looking cutscenes.
La la.
Alex, you're late again, silly. Were you whittling away the morning at Dine's monument again?
The game contains many of these heartfelt moments, and it's honestly extremely impressive what they were able to do with it. And this game isn't just notorious because of how good of a story it is, or how fun some of these moments are, but the writing, for instance, is incredibly witty, it's charming, it's funny, it's fourth wall breaking. Every time you go back to a town after a major story event, there's new dialogue to experience from the NPCs, constantly cracking jokes, whether they be dirty jokes, fourth wall breaking jokes, jokes about the situation that are going on, interesting tidbits and lore about the world and information about Althena or the town you're going through, or whatever the situation is. The person who translated and wrote this game out deserves a medal, because this is the most amount of dialogue I've seen in an RPG that not only changes constantly, but is actually interesting to listen to and very funny on occasion. Story all in all for Lunar Silver Star's story, from everything I've talked about and shown here, without really going deep in the spoiler territory, is a fantastic time. I don't have any major issues with this story, other than the fact that if you're not into this style of RPG, that is a, again, by-the-numbers story, where it's pretty straightforward, it's in the exact same kind of structure as some of the earlier Final Fantasies, you'll know where this plot is going from a mile away. And if you're not really into that, and you want more of a surprise or twists and turns within your RPGs, like Final Fantasy VII-esque experience, for instance, or Final Fantasy IX, or quite frankly any other RPG you can think of that came after this one, then this may not be the plot for you, but this is an incredible story regardless, with so many fun times, that I really don't have any complaints when it comes to the plot of this game. And what makes the story that much more impactful are the cast of characters that you have as well. And I want to break down each of your main party members that are present within the game, because each of them are unique and vary in quality. Because when it comes to an RPG, an important thing to talk about is your main cast, the people that you're experiencing the story through. If you don't care about the characters, then the story, by extent, becomes inconsequential. So, let's spend a little bit of time going over the characters of Lunar.
But I should have known you'd be here.
Oh no, where else would I be?
In honor of the great Dragon Master, Dine. I know that Dine was probably the greatest of the four heroes, Alex, but I'm amazed that you never get tired of coming to stare at his dull monument. Oh shoot, I just remembered. We better go meet Luna to practice singing. If we're late, she'll be upset.
Not really a ton to say about Alex himself. He's a brave, up-and-coming young man who wants to become the next generation Dragon Master. He aspires to be a hero like his idol Dine, and he's a brave character. He's someone who's willing to do the right thing. He's a bit awkward at times socially when it comes to romance and about certain situations, but he's a headstrong guy who just wants to do the right thing and ultimately stop the forces of evil and save Luna and destroy Galleon. This character really isn't anything super in-depth when it comes to, again, RPGs of this type. Alex is the traditional hero-type character, so he doesn't really have a ton of different quirks outside of being the brave RPG protagonist. But despite the fact that he has limited dialogue and he does fall into this archetype, Alex is still an incredible character, and he does have some good standout moments.
Alex, you're late again, silly. Were you whittling away the morning at Dine's monument again? Or were you planning more make-believe adventures with Ramus?
Luna I didn't find to be one of the more in-depth characters that are present within the game, not because she's a bad character by any means. She is one of the main faces of what makes this game great. She's this extremely kind person who's willing to help out just about anybody. She has some very cool and unique healing abilities that makes her extremely useful in battle when you do get to play as her. The biggest thing about Luna is she kind of falls into the damsel in distress archetype, because for a good chunk of the game, In the middle portions, especially before you confront Galleon at the end, she's kidnapped, and she's mainly off-screen, with the exception of a few moments that she shares with Alex throughout the story. And to be honest, while I do enjoy Luna, and she has some awesome musical lines with her singing capabilities, I didn't find Luna to be one of the more in-depth characters that really develops throughout the game, outside of the ending where she finds out her true backstory and origins. Outside of that, though, Luna is still pretty strong, and again, I'm not joking when it comes about the singing. It's some really great audio tunes you guys should listen to.
I'm sorry. I cannot go to the magic school today. I'm not feeling well. Oh, I'm so sorry. I mistook you for a messenger of my mother's. My name is Mia. Mia Ausa. May I ask your name?
Mia is one of your party members that you encounter in a location called Vane. It's this magical floating city that exists in their world. And while she does join after finding out about a secret conspiracy that basically corrupted her entire city, and eventually joins with Alex and the others in order to destroy the Vile Tribe, people who are working with Galleon that kidnapped her mother and corrupted her city, she doesn't really have much of a personality outside of being the shy type, someone who doesn't really get involved in a lot of social situations, someone who does have some very powerful magical spells and is extremely useful on a combat level. But as a character, she's kind of someone who likes to stay off to the sidelines. She doesn't really like confrontation. She's extremely shy, and when it comes to romance, she doesn't really know her feelings on certain people throughout the story. Mia does fall into this archetype, but I do find her interesting because she develops, I think, more than Luna, being more outgoing and willing to put herself into more fierce situations by the end of the game. So Mia is a solid character all in all.
Oh, when did you come in? You weren't here before. Did you come after hearing of the trouble here? I think this Dragon Master is a fake. In fact, I bet he's even a bigger phony than my former boyfriend. A good fight is just the ticket to get over that rat. So, let's go find this fraud and show him who's boss.
Another one of your party members, Jessica, is the exact opposite of Mia. She is someone who is strong, outgoing, someone who is willing to help you out in battle if you're a friend, but also punch you in the face if you're being an idiot kind of personality. She's the daughter of Mel from a city known as Maribia, so she's half human, half beast, since Mel is the mayor of Maribia and he himself is a famous war general beast. Jessica is the exact same way with similar attributes both in her appearance and in her personality. She is definitely one of the better characters on a mechanical level, given the fact that she has some pretty powerful physical abilities for being a healer, and some pretty powerful curative spells as well. She's willing to go toe-to-toe with a lot of people who call her out, or who decide to act like morons around her. Again, that personality where she's willing to beat the crap out of you and then heal you afterwards. Jessica I really enjoyed as a character. She doesn't really develop too much in this game, but I do find her personality and a lot of her one-liners to be incredibly funny, so Jessica's a good character too.
Oh, what a night. Kyle had himself another night of wine, women, and song. Just between you and me, I think I had a little too much of the wine. But the women didn't complain.
Another one of your party members known as Kyle, who's Jessica's ex-boyfriend. Kyle is a character. And I don't mean him being a physical character present in the game. I'm talking character as in personality. Kyle is a thief. He's considered to be the king of thieves. He runs a gang. He's an alcoholic. He lies a lot in order to get riches. He has a carefree attitude and doesn't really care about anything else going on, including a lot of social situations in which he does not give a crap about your opinions whatsoever. What I like about Kyle isn't so much his base personality throughout the story, but his development. Because even though Kyle retains some of his character quirks throughout the story, he does take situations more seriously by the end, bonds with his teammates, and ultimately realizes what is most important in helping to save the world, putting aside his alcoholism and his lying tendencies, and eventually reconciles his relationship with Jessica as a result. Kyle I like not so much for his character, but his development throughout the story. So Kyle, you're also good. And then we come to the worst character in this game, and he needs no introduction to those of you who have played the game. Most people that I'm aware of despise this guy, Nash.
Hey there, kiddies. My name is Nash. I'm a level 3 apprentice from the famous magic city of Vane that floats around the Goddess Tower. The area around the Sea Hag's house can be a little tricky, so be sure to watch your step around here, okay?
Out of all the party members in the game that I've spent the past little bit dissecting and kind of going into the development personalities and my thoughts on them, which is, again, an extremely important element of an RPG, Nash is terrible. I do not like Nash whatsoever. He is one of the worst RPG characters in a main party that I've played, and I've played quite a few RPGs at this point. Nash is somebody who thinks that he has the type of personality where he thinks he's a genius. Everyone else below him is inferior. He thinks that he's someone whose crap doesn't stink, so to speak. Somebody who can go through life thinking he's better than everybody else, despite the fact he's just as insecure as everybody. And throughout the game, he exhibits this personality and clashes with many people, and ultimately gets put down every single time, rightfully so. Now, it wouldn't be so bad if his personality and his character went through an arc of some sort. Maybe he would get off his high horse, deflate his head a little bit, become more level-headed, and realize that there's more to life than thinking you're better than everybody, and there's always more to learn kind of thing. Nash doesn't really do that. Partway through the game, you find out he's secretly working with Galleon behind the scenes, while you're trying to reach all these dragons to acquire their power to defeat Galleon. Nash is secretly helping him because he believes Galleon is ultimately right in his goals and ambitions to make the world a better place in his own image. And Nash betrays you partway through the game. And then you fight him in a boss fight toward the end, which isn't very fun either. And the party still lets Nash back in after this. Ultimately, outside of his relationship with Mia, who they both kind of like each other, but you know, it feels kind of forced in that regard for the story. Nash is not a good character. I don't like him. He doesn't have any redeeming qualities. His personality is not fun to follow or experience throughout the game, and he doesn't develop. Nash is the worst character in this game, and in an overall fantastic cast, and overall just great aspect of Lunar when it comes to the characters, Nash is the worst part about it. I would not recommend getting invested in him whatsoever, but I'll let you guys make that judgment call. Talking about the story and characters of Lunar, for the most part, these elements are extremely strong, despite the fact that the plot is by the numbers and pretty straightforward, and some of your characters, most notably Nash, being terrible, or some of them not really developing as much, kind of retaining their same personality throughout the game, they are still good elements of the game. And really, I haven't had many complaints thus far. And for those of you who are expecting me to transition into some negatives about the game now, you're not going to find that here. Because the visuals of this game, something else I want to note, are extremely beautiful. Whether you're looking at the original Sega CD version or you're looking at the PS1 remake, this game looks visually fantastic. From the character models, to the battle sprites, to the animation, to the overworld where you're seeing the floating city of Vane, the beautiful waters that circle all the different continents that you explore, the enemies, the boss fights. Quite frankly, every single part of this game oozes inspiration of classic RPGs and is beautifully done, with bright poppy colors and just a beautiful aesthetic that makes this game incredible to look at. The visuals have aged like fine wine with the pixel art, and while I don't think it's the best looking RPG I've played, personally, I think a lot of that goes to Chrono Trigger for me personally, / potentially Final Fantasy VI. Lunar Silver Star Story Complete looks absolutely beautiful, and taking a look at some of these battle animations and some of these overworld shots, I hope you guys will agree about the sheer amount of effort that went into this game's visuals. No complaints from me in this department either. RPGs also tend to be notorious for the soundtrack, and you could look to any RPG and find some notable songs to kind of point out and say, oh yeah, this is a notorious piece of music. Whether you're looking at games like the Final Fantasy series, or Chrono Trigger, Xenogears, the Trails series, there's so many different RPGs and series you can point to and say, there's some legendary music here. Lunar is no exception to this rule. This game contains many fantastic musical tracks, like the Luna singing tracks that I talked about earlier in the video. Those are all fantastic for the vocals, for the instruments, for the lyrics. Everything that this game presents within its soundtrack is fantastic. Some of them are atmospheric tracks going through dungeons that get you upbeat to go through, or perhaps you're exploring a location or a town that makes you feel like you're right at home, playing a classic RPG again, or perhaps a more, again, atmospheric track with a foreboding theme, making you feel nervous, making you have anticipation over what you might find at the very end of the dungeon, like with the Grindery, which is Galleon's hideout at the very end of the game. This game sports a lot more atmospheric tracks to get you in the mood for that point in the story or location, and while there's some instrumental tracks that definitely stand out, this game's soundtrack isn't as strong as some other RPGs, but that's not to say it's bad, because this game, while it does contain more atmospheric tracks than anything, presents a beautiful soundtrack that I would say any RPG aficionado should absolutely check out and play. This soundtrack is fantastic. Here's a few samples for you guys to get an idea, and if you're interested, check out the OST on YouTube. This soundtrack, despite some nitpicks here and there that I have, is pretty good.
Wishing on a dream that seems far off, hoping it will come today. Into the starlit night, foolish dreamers turn their gaze, waiting on a shooting star. But what if that star is not to come? Fade to nothing when the horizon darkens most. We all need to believe there is hope.
Throughout this video so far, from everything that I've talked about and presented to all of you, the one major component that I have not discussed thus far is the gameplay. We've covered all of the obvious elements, not just of an RPG, but a video game period. Your story, your cast, the way the game looks, the way it sounds with the music. The gameplay of Lunar, I wanted to save for last because it's another major component of what makes Silver Star's story unique in some elements, and the area in which I have the most issues with the game. Nothing that is going to be a deal breaker in terms of saying it's a horrible game. Far from it. But this section does have a few more complaints from me, and kind of why I wanted to save it till this point. The battle system is a traditional turn-based RPG like you would expect from many other games of this type. You encounter enemies on the world map, you can assemble different characters together, you can level up via experience, buy items, equip your characters with certain perks, raise their stats, that kind of thing. You can battle enemies and earn money to buy items, you can explore dungeons to find hidden goodies. This is a by-the-numbers gameplay system as well. This is as traditional a turn-based RPG as you might expect if you have played any Final Fantasy game or any other traditional RPG. You encounter an enemy, you take a turn, they take a turn. Lunar does present a few unique gameplay elements, though, that I do want to talk about here, and this is where some of the complaints do come in. When it comes to the core battling itself, however, this is a solid RPG. It doesn't really do anything new when it comes to encountering enemies, but you can have your entire party on screen, up to 5 characters. You can take a turn to position yourself on the battlefield because you do transition to a different battle screen. So there is some strategy involved here. You could go from one part of the field to get closer to the enemy so your magic spell or your physical attack does more damage. Or maybe you want to back away from the enemy to cast a healing spell, so you travel from one part of the field to the other. These movements are extremely unique, and while the other Final Fantasy games and some other RPGs don't allow this mechanic, it being strictly turn-based as you're locked into a certain screen, this does add a certain element of strategy that I do appreciate and really like what Lunar did. The core gameplay itself when it comes to the combat is good, and again, while it doesn't do anything new, it offers enough unique elements with having a diverse party that each character that you have serves a role in. It's good overall. Check out some of the gameplay for yourself. You guys will get a bit of a better idea on this one. The core battling and gameplay, like I said, is solid overall and an enjoyable element of the game, but I do have a few issues with it. For one, the money. The money that you earn in any RPG goes toward buying equipment, buying items, etc. The problem with this game is, the difficulty in this game slowly rises over time. The balancing is fine for the early stages, but the more you go, the harder the boss fights get, the longer the dungeons get, and the higher the enemy encounters. This money that you earn is very few and far between if you want to keep up on buying healing items that you will desperately need, and being able to buy equipment in order to keep your stats up, because there's only so much grinding that you can do at certain points in the game without feeling like you're wasting your time. During my gameplay experience, I grinded more in this RPG for hours at certain points than I have for other RPGs, because the difficulty just kept ramping up. And in order to have money to buy these items or this advanced equipment that you need, you're going to be grinding for money alone, not just experience points. Enemies don't really drop a ton of money. You don't find a lot of the silver, which is again the currency in this game, out in the overworld or in dungeons. So you're not really going to be able to afford a lot of the stuff that you're going to need. And quite frankly, money does become an issue to earn in order to buy this equipment. There's only so much of it that you can find out in the field, so to speak, in the overworld or in dungeons. It may not sound like a big deal to you guys if you've played games that give you a ton of money, so much so by the end that you don't know what to do with it, like in Chrono Trigger. But quite frankly, this is an issue. If you're you only have one of two options if you're going to help advance your characters, or perhaps both. Either you spend hours grinding in order to circumvent this difficulty balance issue that Lunar does have, or you spend the time earning money in order to buy better items to heal your characters to make it through a tough boss fight, or buy better equipment. This is an issue that the game has, both with earning money, it being extremely difficult to do so, as well as the difficulty balancing itself, with the game's difficulty ramping up at multiple points to where your journey comes to a complete stop because you're forced to grind if you want to progress. So, 2 issues with the gameplay right there, but not my biggest issue. The biggest issue that I have with the gameplay in Lunar are the enemy encounters. This game does not have random encounters. While this does go with a traditional turn-based battle system with a few unique elements tossed in, the way that you encounter enemies is not random encounters like in any other RPG, like even Pokemon, for instance. This game does the Chrono Trigger approach. As you're going through dungeons, you see enemies present on the map. You can choose to go around them if you don't want to battle them, and if you do run into them physically in the dungeon, that's when you battle. You don't just randomly encounter some enemies just walking through the dungeon without seeing anything. Chrono Trigger did this extremely well. There are a few scripted encounters here and there that you have to go through, but ultimately the battles didn't last long, and you could avoid most enemies going through any one of the areas. This game does not work the same way. There are too many enemies littered throughout the dungeon, there isn't enough space for you to navigate in order to avoid enemies if you want. The enemy's movement speed is double yours, so if they spot you, good luck trying to get away from them. You will be encountering more battles than you ever thought possible. And I don't mean going out of your way to encounter enemies to grind. I'm talking about just trying to get through a dungeon to make it to the end and not wanting to fight anything, but you're forced to anyway because of how many enemies spawn. They're not really optional encounters in that way, and it can get extremely annoying when you're just trying to pass through an area or a dungeon for the 50th time, fighting your 100th battle that you just don't want to be part of. It wastes time, and it can put you in a pickle if you end up fighting enemies, trying your luck, and you end up using more items, and again, wasting more of your time. The enemy encounter issue is present throughout a lot of this game from a design standpoint for a lot of the dungeons, and while it may not sound like a huge deal, it does wear on you after a while, considering that this game is still tens or dozens of hours long. So, while this isn't a deal breaker by any means for the gameplay, this is a gameplay issue that I want you guys to keep in mind if you decide to play this game. Everything that I've said considered, guys, Lunar Silver Star Story Complete on the PlayStation 1 is a really good game. This is an underrated hidden gem title that does not get much attention now on YouTube or from people. And I think it's only been within the past several years that this game has really gotten the attention that it deserves for being a notorious, underrated, hidden gem game on the PlayStation 1. It has an amazing story, a mostly good cast of characters, beautiful visuals, a solid soundtrack, and although it has a few issues and isn't refined, and it really isn't anything new, a good turn-based gameplay and battle system that anyone can get into. This is a good starter RPG for those of you who aren't familiar with the genre to get into, and one I highly recommend you guys go out and play. Despite a few issues that I've mentioned throughout this video, Lunar Silver Star Story Complete on the PlayStation 1 is an amazing game. It is very good in its own right, and a game that you guys should absolutely go out and play. Even if you're not a fan of RPGs or have never touched this genre before, it's still worth a look for you guys to go and check out this awesome, awesome experience. One that definitely deserves, again, a lot more attention, but I don't think I could have chosen a better game to talk about for this 200 subscriber special. Lunar Silver Star Story Complete, once again, is a really good game, one I highly recommend, and a game that fits the genre of why I started this YouTube channel in the first place. To talk about these old nostalgic games that never get covered anymore, to both remind those of you who have played this game of how amazing they are if you haven't touched them in years, and to introduce new generations of what made these old-time classics amazing. And I hope this review did that for a lot of you guys as well. Lunar definitely gets my recommendation. Good game.
We were so worried about you.
Oh, Luna. Oh, Jessica. I'm just so happy to see you all.
Well done, Alex. Well done.
And that, Nostalgics, concludes the 200 subscriber special. This is one of the longer reviews that I've done here on the channel, but considering the fact that this is an RPG and that there is a lot to cover, I wanted to go a bit more in depth with this review, analyzing many different aspects of the game that normally wouldn't be covered in, say, a licensed game like Cars on the Game Boy Advanced, or a Yu-Gi-Oh game, or something like that. This is an RPG that I have thoroughly enjoyed, and it's not perfect, but it is a good time that you think you guys should definitely go and play if you're interested. But more importantly, thank you guys for supporting this channel. Despite everything that I mentioned at the beginning of the video, the changes in the videos, the upload schedule being all over the place, I appreciate you guys sticking with this journey. And with everybody else new who's joined the channel, I hope you guys enjoy your stay. Look out for more content in the future. You guys are the reason why I continue to upload on this channel, and in many ways you guys have helped impact and change my life throughout the years, doing content creation, period. Thank you guys for everything that you've done for me. I hope that by doing these videos I can supply you guys with some entertaining videos, something to look forward to whenever I do upload, and I hope this video is worthy of a 200 subscribers special. But thank you guys for everything. Look forward to more content in the future. I don't want to get too sappy or anything like that at the end of this video, but thank you guys for all the support that you've given this channel and me over the years once again. If you guys do enjoy the video, give it a like, and please let me know your thoughts on it in the comment section down below. Games that you want me to cover in the future, what you guys thought about the video on the review of Lunar, if you've played Silver Star Story, or if you have any interest in checking it out. Let me know any of your thoughts and feelings on the game, video, or just thoughts in general in the comment section down below, because I love interacting with you guys there. And of course, if you guys want, if you're new, or just otherwise, subscribe to the channel if you guys want to keep up with future videos here on the show. Whether or not they be reviews, unboxings, any old nostalgic retro gaming content that we produce here on the Nostalgia Factor. Subscribe if you want to check out any of that stuff in the future. Otherwise, guys, thank you once again. Look forward to more videos in the future, and I will see you Nostalgics later. And as I always say, until next time, this has been Ryan from the Nostalgia Factor saying, keep on gaming.